Hi, my name is Rana. My major right now is marriage and family therapy, but I got my undergrad in psychology here, both at Sac State. When I was an undergrad, I did a lot of research with professors and going to office hours and things like that. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do yet at that point, but I met with one of my professors, and she suggested that I go into MFT just because I mentioned that I wanted to work with kids at a high school setting, and she said to be a high school counselor or just a counselor. They do a lot of testing, and testing was not something that I wanted to actually do, so I wanted to provide one-on-one therapy. So she suggested that I go into marriage and family therapy just to cover all ground, so I can actually do individual therapy, marriage and family therapy, and then work at a high school site if I wanted to. So it's changed since I'm finishing my third semester right now, so it's changed just a little bit as far as the GREs go. But I wrote a personal statement, which I started maybe a semester before I applied because it takes a while. There's an application process. Each school has their own different individual application process that you have to go through. Sac State's was the most detail oriented, so that took a while. You had to put in every single one of your classes, the grade you got, the teacher you had, how many credits it was. But yeah, each school has their own individual process, so I would go on each website of the school that you'd like to apply to and see their requirements and their application process. But they required that, a personal statement, 3 letters of recommendation. I went to the professor that I mentioned earlier that I spoke with. I went to my internship advisor, and then my professor at my JC, who I did a lot of research with. I would first of all get to know a handful of professors, utilize office hours. That was the most beneficial thing that I could have done for myself, is just getting to know professors, doing research with professors, getting into internships on campus, clubs, anything outside of just academia is really beneficial, because what they look forward now is not just your grades in general, but also things that you're doing for the community. Are you giving back to your school? Are you a well-rounded person? So you have to really get as much experience under your belt as possible. I would say probably do as much research as possible early on in what you would like to do. I got lucky in the fact that I had an advisor, a teacher that gave me kind of guided me towards the path that I wanted to go. But I hear a lot of folks say they want to do something just because they like the idea of it, but then once they get into the program or they see what it consists of, it's harder for them to grasp. So what I did before I even applied for the program is I shadowed some marriage and family therapist in a group setting, and there was informed consent and everything, very confidential, but it just kind of gave me an idea of what it would be like to be a therapist, and so I took that and I really liked it. So yeah, definitely research as much as possible. Let's see, so undergrad was a lot of exams, a lot of cramming information. For one, speaking of myself, I complained a lot about learning information that I necessarily didn't need to know. There's just a lot, like history, math, all these different topics that you have to take all together, and so it's like studying for separate classes and taking in information that's not relevant to one another, versus graduate school. Every class that I've taken so far is relevant to one another. So I learned something in my human development class that ties into my marriage and family class and that practicum, and so everything that you learn you utilize in your career. So you you grasp onto that information a lot better, and there's more papers, a lot more papers in reading. So if you don't like reading now, wait until you go into grad school, because it's a lot of reading. But it's also very important information that you need as a professional. I do, so I work full-time now, and I go to school, but that's just the last semester, and I feel like it's been manageable. It is a little hard, and time management is absolutely a skill that you have to develop in grad school. But yeah, I do work like Monday through Friday, and then I have night classes. So the program here, when I was looking into all the programs that I wanted to apply to, this one was a little bit different than all the other ones. So I say marriage and family therapy, but it's actually called marriage, couple, family counseling now, and they want to make it more of an inclusive title. But the licensure process is still MFT. So it's the same process, same criteria that you have to meet. It's just a different title to kind of get all the counselors to be under one umbrella. So the program here has rehab counseling, it has career counseling, school counseling, and then marriage and family counseling. And the first 2 semesters, all of our classes were combined. So I had people from all 4 cohorts in there. And now it's starting to look more selected, like some classes are just folks that are in the marriage and family program. And we're a cohort system, so everyone that started off together in my cohort, we're all going to graduate together, so we see the same people for 3 years, which is, I think it's wonderful, because you get to know people, you build relationships, where some of us are already talking about our careers and wanting to start our own practice, and potentially doing that together, so it's a good system that they have. Mm-hmm. So the program is 3 years. The first 3 semesters are classes, and then next semester I'm starting practicum, and I'll have 2 classes on top of that. Practicum is basically when they place you at a site. I've been placed at a high school. We have a counseling center here at Sac State on the fourth floor of Eureka, so it just depends on where you get placed. And then you do 5 hours a week of one-on-one counseling under supervision. And then the last year is mainly just field study. They have contracts with different folks in the community, and you go out and you do therapy under, like, there's criteria that they have to meet for them to be contracted. And then you do some of your hours, some of your 3,000 hours within that year of field study, and then you have 1 or 2 classes then too. That's pretty much it. I highly recommend this program. We have, I don't know the exact number of teachers, but we have just like a small group of teachers, so you'll often have the same professor for different courses, and like I mentioned, same people in your classes. So it's really tight-knit, and you get to really know everybody and build that connection, and so I highly recommend it. I also applied to Alliant and University of San Francisco satellite campus here in Sacramento, and I got into all 3, but I chose Sac State just because of the wonderful program and also the state tuition.